Hey everybody, Jeff with IntelliHost here, and today we're going to be diving into Prashant's property. Prashant owns this home in, it's North Topsail Beach, North Carolina. It's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath home right on the beach. He's got a great offering, but Prashant is experiencing what we call a top of funnel issue, meaning he's just not getting the eyeballs that he needs on his property. So we're going to dive in and show you how to fix that. So here's what Prashant's property looks like in IntelliHost. He hasn't had any bookings in the last 13 days, and we're gonna show you why. So right now, for a beach home property, we really should be seeing a lot more impressions, meaning Prashant isn't getting enough eyeballs on his property. Now, whenever we have a top of funnel issue, the first thing we should be thinking about is filters. What are the filters that people are searching for, and why are we not appearing in those filters? So the first thing I noticed with Prashant's property is that Prashant currently has a 3-night minimum stay. Now that's not terrible. You know, I've seen as high as 7 or even 10-night minimums. But if you want to appear in more filters, you lower your minimum night stay. And the reason for that is because the number one filter that people use on Airbnb's webpage is date range. And if they're selecting 2-night ranges, you just won't appear in those at all. So if you're looking to appear in filters and help that right off the bat, I would recommend moving that minimum night stay from a 3 to a 2. Now, the next thing that you want to think about if you're not appearing, if you're not getting enough eyeballs, is if you're blocking off nights or if you have any blocked off days. Now, Prashant does not have that issue. It looks like there are no major blocked off time periods, so we can cross that one off the list. But the other thing that we need to think about is pricing. So that's usually a big one. Airbnb has focused really heavily on value in a lot of their search algorithms. And this one we're not doing quite so well in. So I found Prashant's property here, and you can see that what I'm looking at is the all-out total price. And this is what Airbnb is going to use to reward search placement. So you can see that Prashant is at $1,800. And a lot of these properties, this one, for example, these are all properties with 4 and 5 bedrooms. And their all-out price is closer to $1,000, $1,200. This one's $1,800, but again, it's higher. It has more bedrooms. So I would say you're on the high side of pricing. But the good news is here, you shouldn't have to slash your pricing to make a pretty significant impact. In fact, recently we made a slight price change to one of our listings. We brought it down about 15%, and we were able to boost our first page impressions by about 6 times. So it may not require much, but and the good news is it looks like you're doing some dynamic pricing. I could see that in your pricing you had fluctuating days, which is good. If you don't want to reduce your price across the board, one of the strategies we recommend to a lot of people, and you can do this right in Price Labs, is you can do kind of a last minute pricing strategy. So you can set your prices to reduce gradually once the check-in date is within 30 days or 10 days or whatever you select. And what that does is a couple things. So number one, Airbnb likes to advertise your lowest price on your calendar. So if you have a few nights that are lower than the rest, Airbnb will take those nights and they will advertise those and reward you in search based on those. So that should help your first page impressions go up quite a bit when you reduce those last minute stays. Now, I don't recommend you abuse that strategy. You can go overboard with that. And if you go too low on a couple days and people just aren't clicking through your property because they're selecting dates and they're seeing higher ranges than what they're used to, and that could hurt your property in the long run. But I recommend that. And then the other thing that I want to recommend is you currently have the home listed as a townhouse. Now, one of the filters that Airbnb has is whether you are what type of home you are. Now, the most common type of home that is filtered for in Airbnb is home. And the reason for that is because most people they think what they're doing is they're filtering out any single bedroom rentals, right? And so people just select home and they move on. It may be of a benefit to just put your vacation rental or classify it as a house, because it is a house in the way that people experience the vacation rental. So think about that. So if those don't work, there's one more thing you can try, and this is the biggest thing I noticed, and I'm hoping this is not your issue, but if it is, it should help. What I'm going to recommend should help. And that is, right now, you only have 2 reviews on this property, and you don't currently have the new flag. Let me see if I can find one here. Yeah, so see how this one says, it has a star rating, it says new. You've been listed long enough that that new star is gone, and you don't have a review showing up here. And what that means to me is that you had it listed for quite a while without a single booking. And the problem with that is Airbnb usually takes new bookings and they throw them up in the top of search for a little while to test your click rate and your conversion rate. What they're looking for is, do people think this property is relevant? And if you get a lot of clicks and bookings, then they're going to leave you at the top of search. If you don't, they're going to drop you down. And so the fact that you didn't get booked during that trial period tells me that this property may be kind of been thrown to the bottom of search. And so if the recommendations that I've given you don't work, what I recommend is you may want to refresh this listing. You may want to delist it and relist it as a new listing, because that will get you back up to the top. Now, when you do that, I recommend that you adjust your cover photo. And the reason for that is because I think this cover photo right now is doing a couple things for me. It's a little too busy. Now it's red, so it flashes, but I just don't know what I'm looking at. There's a lot going on here. And when people are looking at this page, this first page, they're scrolling, right? You need to give people a reason to stop scrolling and just be enamored with your property. And so before you refresh your listing, I recommend that you change your cover photo. And I think the best cover photo for you, and I'll just give you my opinion here, is this one. So this property, or this photo does, one, it shows kind of the gathering space, but it also shows how close this really is to the beach. And so you can eliminate in anyone's mind how far they have to walk to get to the beach. And that's the number one thing in your area, is close, being beachfront and being close. So I recommend that. So there you have it. I hope that helps. I'm excited to see how this works out for you. I hope we can do a follow-up video later and see the impact. Happy optimizing.